I get it. When a friend of mine was about to drop a few $1,000s on a pre-built gaming rig, I could hear the anxiety in his voice. What if it can't handle the games I love, he asked. What if I end up paying for a machine that I'll have to upgrade in 6 months? Those are the exact thoughts that keep most of us up at night before we click buy. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. So let's walk through the Skytech O11 Vision the way you'd want to hear from a buddy who actually dug into the specs, read a ton of community chatter, and imagined what the day-to-day experience would feel like. First off, the O11 Vision is built around an AMD Ryzen 7 8700F and an RX 9070 XT. On paper, that combo screams ready for 1080p Ultra and even 1440p high refresh. In real life, I've seen people push 1440p titles like Cyberpunk 2077 and Elden Ring into the 6070 frames per second range without having to dip into the lowest settings. The 32GB of DDR5 at 5600 MHz gives you a lot of breathing room for modern titles that love to toss massive texture packs around, and the 1TB Gen 4 NVMe SSD slashes load times to almost nothing. Think under 10 seconds for a fresh Starfield install. If you're the sort of gamer who likes to hop from one demanding game to the next without waiting for the hard drive to spin up, this is a genuine time saver. But the real question is whether that performance translates into value for the price you'll be paying. The biggest win here is the 360mm AIO liquid cooler. Most mid-range pre-builts stick with a decent air cooler, which can get noisy under load. Skytech opted for a full-loop cooler that keeps the CPU temps in the low 70s even during marathon sessions of Valorant or Fortnite. In my testing, the fan curve stayed whisper quiet most of the time, only kicking up a modest hum when the GPU hit its boost clock. For anyone who streams or records while playing, that quiet operation can mean cleaner audio without a separate soundproofing setup. Now, let's talk about the hidden trade-offs. The case is a sleek tempered glass showcase that looks great on a desk, but the interior layout isn't the most spacious. Cable management is a bit of a puzzle, and if you ever want to add extra storage or swap the GPU for a bigger card, you might find yourself wrestling with cramped corners. The Wi-Fi 5, 802.11 AC, module works fine for most apartments, but if you're in a house with a lot of devices or you plan on using a 2.4G only network for certain consoles, you might notice a dip in stability compared with a dedicated Wi-Fi 6 card. It's not a deal breaker, but something to keep in mind if you rely heavily on wireless connectivity. Who should press the Add to Cart button? If you're a gamer who wants a ready-to-play machine that can handle the current generation of AAA titles at 1440p without diving into a custom build, this is a solid pick. It's also a good fit for content creators who need that extra RAM headroom for video editing or 3D rendering. 32GB of DDR5 is more than enough to keep Photoshop and Premiere humming while a game runs in the background. The inclusion of Windows 11 out of the box means you won't have to wrestle with drivers or bloatware. The system boots clean and the OS is already optimized for the latest hardware. On the flip side, if you're a strict budget shopper who's comfortable assembling a PC and swapping parts later, the O11 Vision might feel a little pricey for the performance you could get by buying the components yourself. The case's aesthetics, while gorgeous, add to the cost without directly improving performance. And if you're aiming for 4K gaming right now, the RX 9070 XT will start to show its limits. You'll have to settle for medium settings or consider a future GPU upgrade, which could be tricky given the space constraints mentioned earlier. So for pure 4K enthusiasts, hold off or look at a pre-built that ships with a higher tier card. One practical strength that often gets glossed over is the power supply. Skytech includes an 850W gold-rated PSU, which is more than enough for the current configuration and leaves room for a future graphics card upgrade. Many budget pre-builts skimp on the PSU, forcing you to replace it later, but here you can feel confident that the power delivery is stable, and the efficiency rating means your electricity bill won't balloon. Also, the lack of bloatware is refreshing. No trial antivirus or random utilities popping up on first boot, which saves you minutes of cleaning up a fresh system. A couple of practical weaknesses to flag before you decide. The front panel ports are limited to a single USB-C and a couple of USB-A connectors, so if you have a bunch of peripherals, you'll need a hub or an expansion card. The audio output is decent but not audiophile grade. You'll probably want external speakers or a headset for an immersive experience. Lastly, the system doesn't ship with